The air in the cabin shifted, thickening with the scent of musk, pine, and aggression. I was pinned beneath a naked stranger while another rose from the hearth rug, shedding fur for skin. Kael, release her. The voice was smooth, like warm honey over rough wood. I twisted my head as much as the grip on my throat allowed. The golden wolf was now a man of striking beauty, tawny skin, hair the color of autumn wheat, and eyes that held a dangerous charm. He stood unashamed of his nudity, limping slightly as he approached us. The man beneath me, Kael, didn't let go, but his thumb brushed the pulse point of my neck. He was testing my fear. She smells like ozone and herbs. She's a healer, the golden one said, crouching beside us. He placed a hand on Kael's shoulder, and we are guests who broke her wards. Kael's gray eyes searched mine for a second longer before he released me. I scrambled back, clutching my robe, my face burning. It wasn't just fear. It was the sheer, overwhelming masculinity radiating off them. They were huge, corded with muscle, and staring at me with a predatory focus that made my knees water. "I'm Elara," I managed, standing up and trying to summon the dignity of a woman in her own home. "And you're bleeding on my rug." "Rian," the golden one said with a tired smile. He gestured to the dark-haired man who was struggling to sit up. "That ray of sunshine is Kael." Kael hissed in pain as he tried to put weight on his feet. He looked down at his feet, then at the leather pouch I had been trying to wrestle onto him. He looked at me, an incredulous brow raised. "Were you trying to put a bag on my foot?" "Your pads are shredded," I said, my voice finding its strength. "You can't heal if you keep tearing them open, and since you clearly have a death wish by running through the razor pass, I have to improvise." "We need to keep moving," Kael grunted, trying to stand. His legs buckled. Rian caught him. "We aren't going anywhere, Alpha," Rian said softly. "The storm has buried us, and you can't walk." Kael growled, a sound that vibrated in the floorboards. "If they find us." "They won't find us in this weather," I interjected. "Now, sit down before you fall down." To my surprise, Kael listened. He slumped back onto the furs. The dynamic between them was potent. Kael was the force, the raw power, but Rian was the anchor. Over the next few hours, the cabin became a cage of sensory overload. I gave them blankets to cover themselves, though the wool did little to hide the breadth of their shoulders or the intensity of their stares. I tended to Rian's leg first. He watched my hands with a heavy-lidded gaze that made my skin prickle. "You have a gentle touch, Elara," Rian murmured, leaning in close. I could smell him, rain and earth. "It's been a long time since anyone touched us without trying to kill us." "Keep flirting, Rian, and I'll stitch your mouth shut," Kael grunted from the floor. But his eyes were on me too, tracking my every movement. When it was Kael's turn, the tension spiked. He refused to let me touch his feet while in human form, claiming the sensation was too sensitive. "Shift then," I ordered. "It's easier to treat the paws." He glared but complied. Bones cracked and reshaped until the massive black wolf lay before me again. Now came the battle. "Give me the paw, Kael," I said. He huffed, turning his head away. "Don't make me call you a bad boy," I warned. Rian snorted a laugh from the table where he was eating stew. The wolf's head snapped toward me, eyes narrowing. Slowly, grudgingly, he extended a massive, lacerated paw. I applied the salve, a stinging poultice of calendula and raw honey. He whined, a high-pitched sound that betrayed his pain. I know, I cooed, rubbing behind his ears. The coarse fur was soft as silk at the roots. Now for the booties. It was a wrestling match. He kept trying to pull away, and I had to straddle his flank to keep him still, tying the leather laces around his ankles. It was absurd, domestic, and strangely intimate. I was covered in sweat, my hair falling out of its braid, physically grappling with a deadly predator. When I finally finished, I sat back, breathless. Kael shook his paws, the leather thumping against the floor. He looked ridiculous. He looked adorable. He looked at me, and then he leaned forward and licked the sweat from my cheek. The rasp of his tongue sent a jolt of lightning straight to my core. I froze. Rian went still across the room. Suddenly, the wind outside stopped. The silence was absolute, unnatural. Kael shifted back instantly, disregarding the pain, exploding into his human form. He was naked, crouched over me, his body a shield. "What is it?" I whispered, trembling. Silence, Kael hissed, the kind that comes before the kill. Then the heavy oak door of my cabin didn't just open, it imploded.
Want to keep the flame ignited without having to wait for the next part? You can find the full, tantalizing tale on our main page. See the link in the description.